I love liquor. I think that's most important. I do love it. I love it because it makes me feel what I don't want to feel. You know, like...
I certainly didn't think of myself as I thought alcoholics were the daily drinkers. I've got to wake up in the morning and have a drink. I wasn't like those people at all. I might have been a little bit emotionally wacky, but I certainly wasn't an alcoholic.
When I got sober, I got, like, scared of people, scared to talk in front of people. When I was drunk, I could dance on top of a bar.
I didn't know I couldn't help myself. I knew that I would try to stop, and I would start again, and I didn't know why I started. And I didn't want anybody to know. That's why the vodka that didn't smell, that's why different liquor stores, that's why sending somebody out for my liquor, that's why the stories, you know, I'm having a party. What do you suggest, you know, just so nobody would know.
There are 10 million alcoholics in the United States. Nearly half of them are women. Protected by families, friends, and physicians, they are one of the best-kept secrets of our society. They themselves are often the last to know.
Yeah, I have to get my thug on the 41st side of things. I used to be in love with this bitch named me and Jay. Don't fuck with her no more, now I fuck with Tango Ray. Tango Ray introduced me to her first cousin Gold. Last name was English and the first name O. But Gold couldn't take the dick, it made me lazy. We split apart and now I met this new trick, Zany. Now me and Zany, we've been together ever since. Our love combines to form a science. What is this? I bust a cherry. Took her virginity in 91. Now that she's open, everybody wanna tap something. Go get your own, don't make me have to fucking clap something. I love my shorty more than life, now ain't that something. To love you, Danny, more than living itself. Even though my friends tell me she ain't good for my health. When I go pick her up, they tell me put her back on the shelf. They say, yo, P, she only wants you for one thing, that's your wealth. But I don't pay attention, cause she's my baby, the Danny. You know she drive me crazy, she's my #1 lady. Met her back in 89, now she's 22, acting like she 40. She said, all I need is a man to support me. Besides, you from the 41st side of things. And Queensbridge niggas be acting like they kings. Pushing Lexuses, wearing fat diamond rings. My cellular phone rings supreme. International, think rational. The 12th Street crew move back when we come through. I think the whole world's going insane. I fill my brain up with Zany and drink away the pain. I think the whole world's going insane. I fill my mind up with liquor and drink away the pain. I think the whole world's losing its brain. I fill my brain up with liquor and drink away the pain. I think the whole world's going insane. I fill my mind up with Zany and drink away the pain.
Tommy Hill was my nigga, and others couldn't figure how me and Hill figure used to move through with vigor. Had to sit and plan on how to make these 7 figures. Said the Brinks is coming through at Fashion Avenue. At Tuesday at 2, now we got a former crew of motherfuckers who ain't going out like sucker. Told me call Kanai and all my other brothers. I told my sister Walker, who was the smoothest talker, negotiate the deal with them other money stalkers. Diesel drove the Beamer, the hatchback of course. Nautica a navigate to keep us on course. Polos acting bolo, trying to say he the boss. I said shut the fuck up, the kid is out with the loose sack. Got a big tray pound, it's just a shoot bat. Tim is on the roof with the 12 gauge rifle. Scope is on the top, so you know he live at Eiffel. Took the aim of Oswald, caught him north in the face. All them other kids, they had their tools aimed to space. Levi had the snub, so you know they getting laced. Donna Cameron was crying, cause man shells was flying. Damn, all we want is a piece of the pie, and Nike scooped the stats cause he moves like air. Threw them shits up in the trunk, now we up out here. Got back to the mansion to divvy up the paper. Helly Hansen was the brain of the whole entire caper, so she felt it was right for her to get the whole slice. Everybody in the crew didn't think it was nice, I guess not. And guess what's hot, so guess what? Guess took the jigger and jigged it in the gut. sometimes it's not too fly. Even though the goods look deceiving to the eye, the end situation can leave your ass dry. That's why you got to walk on by, walk on by, walk on by, walk on by, walk on by.
Yo, bring that Danny home, man. My man P put me on to the shorty, hand rock, now hand rock, strong enough to make your heartbeat stop. One sip, I thought the bitch was a fucking warlock. The more she started giving me, the stronger I got. Pushed her off to the crew, then she started getting jealous. Steam cause I spent more cream with the fellas. Fuck them niggas, spend that cheese on me. See if they beat you around when you need pussy. Then I thought to myself, yo, this trick is right. Gathered up all my dough, so I spent the night. I can't help it, she got my brain in the headlock. Niggas started riffing, why you tricking? Yo, this shit must stop. Moms like you need to see the AA. Better hope they help your ass out on the same day. But never that, I got the shake, so I need that. Son call me stressed out, I just be that. But when it comes to him rock done, I need that. She's my shorty for life, so fuck the feedback. I think the whole world's going insane. I fill my brain with the Henny and drink away the pain. I think the whole world's lost his brain. I sip away on the liquor and drink away the pain. For the brothers who ain't here, pour a little something on the floor, son. Time to get a little bit, do our thing. Word up, the 41st side of Queens. We getting bent, know what I mean? Word up. It's an everyday thing. Henny got my mind in a headlock. Danny got me going crazy. Danny take me away. Danny take me away. Danny take me away. Word up. Danny take me away.
This is a normal morning for me. It goes something like this. It's hard to believe, but I see. Pour. Right down. Hateful ashtrays. Despise them. This starts my day. Almost every day. Like I said, I don't like full ashtrays. Starts the day. What I'll do is 2 or 3 things. Either I'll put on that to find out what time it is, what's happening in this world, because I'm not really aware of it. BLT on down, take mail. Oh, you put the mail on the side here, right? Okay. Want coffee with that? No. You don't look fat now. You look the same as I saw you 5 years ago. You still look, got the same body. Still stunning. I look the same too. I didn't lose any weight either. I don't know how people just go through life just being sober all the time. Really, it's a boring, boring way of life. Just terrible. To be very honest, I dread it.
I guess I was first exposed to alcohol about the same time most kids are, about 12, 13. And pretty well stayed away from it until in my early 20s. My marriage began breaking up, and I began to use it to fill in lonely spots, to keep my mouth shut so that I wouldn't be emotional about things. It just began solving a lot of problems for me, or at least cutting me off from any kind of feeling, any kind of pain and hurt, anything that I didn't want to deal with. And wine didn't do the trick after a while. It wasn't enough. But I couldn't give up that I was into, needing something else to take care of things. And I found that a little half pint of vodka came in very handy. And I would eventually go out and have a half pint of vodka that I stored away in the kitchen. And when guests came in, or if my husband was back home, I'd offer to go out to the kitchen to get everybody their glass of wine. And while I was out in the kitchen, I'd hit the bottle of vodka underneath. Now the wine was covering up the smell of the vodka. And I could get as high as I wanted. Things were more the way I wanted life to be. And I could ease back and laugh about things because I was half-gassed. And everyone thought, oh, look at Loretta, she's relaxed and she's comfortable.
It's okay for a woman to drink, but she shouldn't get drunk.
A man you can look at and you just pass it by, but When it comes to female sex, it's a different story. People have different ideas.
But a lot of women, though, would drink because they got some emotional stress, you know. But a man to drink because he feel like he came home from a hard day's work, he gonna get him something to drink, you know, something like that, right?
I think a woman shouldn't get drunk because they tend to go a little too far.
Well, if a woman gets drunk, she don't respect herself in the first place, right? Because alcohol got a tendency of making you do things and that you don't really want to do. It brings out actually the animal in you.
Why do I drink? Wow, that is the question. That is the question. Why? Mostly because I don't want to live in reality. I don't want to be whatever's supposed to be. When I take a drink, I become somebody else, and I like being that other person. I've really wrecked my head so that I really started to live being that drunk. I really did. I wanted to be with no feelings, because see, when you drink, you have no feelings. You have no comprehension of really what's happening. I like that. I really like that. For me, it's just not to feel. Just don't hurt me. You know, it's okay. Just don't hurt me. I'll be whatever you want me to be, but just don't hurt me. That's feelings.
I remember my mother had hollered at me. I got an attitude. Went down to the liquor store where my brother was. They were drinking Valley High, and it tastes like Kool-Aid. And I drank it all. And I got drunk, and I got sick. And I said I wouldn't drink no more. And I did after I got pregnant with my first little girl. My mother sent me to an unwed mother's home. I found out where the wine store was, and I started buying liquor. You know, you got a big belly, and society think if you're pregnant, you're old enough to drink. So I didn't need any ID, and they sold me alcohol. And I kept the bottles hid very well.
While society frowns on women who drink too much, the liquor industry spends $900 million a year encouraging us to drink more. Some brands will make us sophisticated and chic. Others offer instant prestige and success. And yet others make us irresistible to men. The industry's profits soar as our fantasies are bottled, corked, and labeled.
I had been brainwashed by, these ivory snow babies on television and motherhood, and this is, what women should be when they grow up. And I had never seen a baby. And I had this child, and they brought this baby to me, and I was just freaked out. The marriage was starting to break up at this point. He was starting a career. He was away a lot. Child was sick. It was nothing like they told me a baby was going to be or a child was going to be. I didn't know, but it was nothing like they told me. I had the second child, and by this time, I just had what they called an acute postpartum psychosis, and I took to my bed, and a nurse came in, and she took care of the baby, and my mother came over, and she took care of my son, and I wouldn't get out of bed. So they sent me to a very famous Park Avenue shrink who was a specialist in this, and he just opened up a drawer and took out the most enormous bottles of pills I've ever seen, and he said, this is for this will make you feel this way, this is for this will make you feel this way, and this will give you some energy, dear. And the energy pills were Dexamils, and they got me out of bed. I mean, I was really high and speeding and all that, and I started to drink at night medicinally, really, because I had the kids, I was feeling a little better, and I couldn't sleep with all the speed in me.
Women have been using alcohol medicinally for for centuries. Throughout the 1800s, so-called female complaints were soothed by patent medicines. These contained as much as 50% alcohol or opiates. Advertising campaigns emphasized the weakness of women and their need for special cures. The typical female drug user was white, middle-aged, and solidly middle class. Opium was the Valium of its day.
Let me show you where it's really at. First of all, I've always taken things that were prescribed. This is the pill here. Yeah, that puts you to sleep. This tranquilizes you completely. And I mean, if you drink behind this pill, Elavil, you've got it. I haven't been sleeping good at all. It's really been very hard. I've been tossing and turning. I've been taking the medication the way you prescribed it.
How many
I don't
take at bedtime?
Two at bedtime. But I haven't been able to sleep. I remember when I was on Cinequin and Compazine, Trivil, oh God knows how many other different medications, Meloril. I never really felt really calm. I never really feel calm, you know.
Well, the 400 milligrams you're taking is a good beginning dose. I can raise it. I was thinking about if you still feel. You know, you have to come in and tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, I feel that we should. I do. I feel that we should.
We'll raise it to 600 milligrams from 400. You'll take 200 milligrams 3 times a day.
Right.
There's very little question that women suffer even more than men do with alcoholism from the problem of overprescription by physicians of psychotropic drugs, especially the sedative or tranquilizer group of compounds. These are quite dangerous for the alcoholic, highly addicting, and do little in favor of their alcoholism and will often assist the alcoholic in an early demise.
The powerful American drug industry spends $1 billion each year, approximately $5,000 per physician, persuading doctors to prescribe mood-changing drugs to their patients. Drug advertisements found in the most respected medical journals feature women much more often than men and suggest that women are more prone to vague psychological symptoms that only a pill can relieve. Today, twice as many women as men are addicted to these mood-altering drugs. When combined with alcohol, the result can be fatal.
I got this really good job on a magazine as an assistant editor. And it was the kind of a place where people took 2-hour lunch hours, and it was very accepted that people drank. And I couldn't really afford to drink down there at lunch, so I used to take the subway home, and I used to drink at home. And it didn't seem strange to me. At the beginning, I would get back, and everybody smelled of alcohol. By this time, I had switched to vodka, which supposedly didn't smell. After a while, though, I didn't get back. I started making up excuses because people had seen me leave for lunch fine, and I couldn't get back, so I would make up these spur-of-the-moment excuses. And what was really happening was I was becoming addicted, and my body couldn't stand not having alcohol in it. I couldn't drink in the mornings. I remember by this time I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning with, I used to call them my 4 o'clock in the morning crazies, very irrational fears. You know, something terrible is going to happen, and I didn't know what. And I would try and figure out, well, if I took a drink now, would they smell it at 9 o'clock, or would I get too drunk and I wouldn't be able to go into work? And most of the times I didn't drink then. I started shaking in the mornings. And my kids would always say, you know, why do you shake, Mommy? Why do your hands shake? And I would just say, that makes me very nervous. I shake because I'm nervous. You know, don't ask me those questions. And it was the kind of a thing where I was doing something that by this point I couldn't help doing. I had to do, and I didn't like what I was doing. And so my excuses were, if you had my problems, you would drink too. If you had a husband who left you and wasn't giving you money, if you had 2 children to raise all by yourself, if you were lonely, if you were, you would drink too. And I'm drinking because of my problems. And in actuality, I was drinking because I had to drink. I could not stop. I got fired from that job. I left before I got fired. I was delighted. I could drink at 4 o'clock in the morning.
If you get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're by yourself, you know there's a bottle there, and just to be yourself is hard. There's a lot of loneliness involved with it. It's lonely. It's really lonely.
How's that martini?
Dynamite, darling. Just dynamite. Okay. I used to pray. I used to pray every morning. God, please, don't let me drink today. Please, you know, whatever happens, just don't let me drink today, please.
I was drinking almost a half gallon a day. I was on a lot of tranquilizers. I started to get into street drugs. I was 97 pounds, and I remember I went to the doctor because I thought I had leukemia because I had black and blue marks all over me, and there was nothing wrong. And he kept saying, I could swear you're bumping into things. And I would say, well, I'd know. And I didn't know, because by now, there were chunks of my life missing.
I become a little bit frightened all over again as I'm thinking about it, because it's almost as though I was back there, and it was that frightening. I used to come out of blackouts to discover myself in bed with a complete stranger, or 2 complete strangers. And this was Loretta, the nice married lady who, you know, it was just me and my husband all my life. I was brought up in Catholic schools. I was very well behaved. I was always the lady who was now then waking up in bed with complete strangers and wondering what the hell had I done the night before? How had I brought this about? What kind of a person am I? And the only conclusion I could come up with was somebody pretty horrible. And of course I couldn't tell anyone, hey, help me. I'm leading this horrible life. I had to try to cover that up and became more and more frightened. What am I capable of doing? Where am I going to wind up next? How horrible, how miserable, am I a whore? You know, what have I become?
I had a blackout. I had a 4-day blackout. And I came out of that blackout in the loony bin with a bracelet on my arm. And I was there, folks. And it was almost sort of a relief, you know. Well, now I know what's wrong. I'm really crazy. And I had evidently called my psychiatrist in a blackout and said I was going to kill myself. This came back years later. And a lot of things I don't remember, but I wound up there. And I was there for 5 days, and I knew what to say to the doctors when they said, well, are you going to try this again? I said, no, I'm never going to try this again. They let me out. And I just went home, and the first thing I did was drink. I didn't see a connection. The hospital didn't see a connection. It was a hospital. The loony bin was on the 7th floor, and there were 6 floors of detox for alcohol, for drugs, for everything on all the other floors, and I wound up in the crazy house. And I think the reason is that it was in a very disadvantaged neighborhood. They were Bowery-type people in the detox. I was a very well-dressed, by this time fairly well-off woman. You know, I had to be crazy. That was very socially acceptable. But to go downstairs in the detox, you know, that was not socially acceptable. I had Blue Cross. I didn't have Medicaid. It got worse. I came out of one blackout in an auto body shop where there was half a tree on the side of my car. And I had been told that I was involved in a 5-car accident, which I had undoubtedly caused. And I never heard anything more about it. I didn't know if I'd killed people. And mostly for me, though, it was that I was pretty certain by this time that I was going to wind up in an accident or dead through crazy people that I kept winding up with. I never knew where I was going to come out of it. I didn't know how I was going to come out of it. I didn't know if I'd wind up mutilated. There was no sense to anything. Finally, I knew everything had to stop.
Where? Where am I? Damn it, where am I? I think that's very important. Where the hell am I? You know, is it really this little silly-ass room here with clothes hanging down and all this bullshit? Where's it at? Where is it really, really at? Am I here? No. I'm not here. I don't even feel it. I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to be part of any of this. I think that's important because I don't really want to be. I don't think I really want to be an alcoholic. I think that is the bitch of it all. I really don't want to be that alcoholic.
I guess I had called my brother, and I think, because I don't remember a lot of this, he had said he couldn't help me anymore, that he had had too much. And he said, will you see a friend of mine, please, who's in New York? And, you know, I was willing to do everything and nothing. I really thought, you know, this was my life. And they're not going to take me back in the hospital. You know, what's going to happen? I went to see his friend, and I can remember she was staying at her parents' apartment. It was this beautiful apartment, and I was filthy dirty. I hadn't bathed in 2 weeks. My clothes were stained. I just didn't give a shit anymore. I didn't care. I couldn't take care of myself. My hair was filthy. I had this old scarf. I didn't want to sit on her parents' furniture. I thought I would make it dirty. And I had come from this. I mean, I had come from more than that. And we talked, and at the end she said, I can't help you. And oh my God, you know, not again. She said, don't you know you're an alcoholic? And I said, no, you know. And I didn't know. And as funny as it seems, with all my worrying about my drinking and all my paying attention to it, I didn't know. I mean, that I couldn't be. I mean, it did not happen to upper middle class Jewish ladies with children, with clothes. I mean, no. She said, I can't even talk to you. You can't hear me. And I couldn't. She said, you must go get detoxed. And I said to her, I have been locked up all summer. I said, I will not have another door closed behind me. I can't do it. And she said, I can't help you. Nobody can help you. So I went. And I was so sick from the drugs and the alcohol. At this point, I was on street drugs. I had my fancy upper-class speed doctor that I used to get a shot from every morning at 6:30 with all the other fancy upper-class people, but I wasn't a junkie. I had my, Valium, about 150 milligrams I was taking by that time, my street drugs, my Quaaludes, and my booze. And a normal detox stay is 5 days, and I was in there for 28 days. Was very, very sick. And I don't know why I didn't drink when I got out. I had lost everything by this time. I had drank up the money. I had drank up the apartment. I had to go on welfare. There was nothing left. I had drank up my family. I had drank up my friends. I had drank up my furniture. You know, there was nothing.
I came into the halfway house and I had an interview. And at first I really liked the place, you know. I like it because it was the Bowery. I could see what was going to happen to me if I kept drinking. Because I had been there and I didn't want to get there no more. And see, this house makes it all possible.
Now that I'm here in the halfway house, I can see that there's so much I was missing. And if I can get out from behind the drugs and out from behind the alcohol and stand Loretta in front of reality, she's got to be okay.
But Loretta, you've had the good jobs. You know, you've gotten great jobs, but you ended up here. Now, I did too. I can identify with that, the fact that I've had the good job, and a lot of times I've had to quit the good job because I was drinking.
Loretta, she's got a little more class than me, where she go out to dinner, you know, and have a nice time, you know.
Loretta was a classy drunk. I was a very classy drunk, especially falling off bar stools.
I wasn't talking about.
I was cute. Loretta was more classy.
No, but I'm saying, whereas Loretta would be having a good time, right? Which people, my kind of people, would look at having a good time by going in a restaurant and stuff. Because I'm one of the guys, you know. I drink on the corner with the fellas and, yo, man, what's happening, you know? And you got, I'm that type of drunk, you know. Whereas you're a little uptown, you know.
That's all.
This program, when I came in here, I didn't want to be bothered with all the stuff I go through. I gotta look at me. But nobody told me one time that it's gonna be peaches and cream, you know. This is what I thought. I'm gonna take a tablet and I was gonna get better here, you know. Man, something is in store for me, good, because it's painful, it's hard. Plus I ready to pack my clothes, get on the elevator and go home and say, man, you can take this and you know what you can do with it.
When I started working at the Halfway House, on the Halfway House team about 2 years ago, I noticed I would go into a group, there would be 10 men and 1 woman. The terms bitch, slut, barfly would be thrown around the room, and I would ask this woman, how do you feel about these remarks? And she would say, it doesn't bother me. You know, I knew it bothered me, it had to bother her. So what I did, I spoke to the director and I said, look, I think there's a need for a special program for women to address their needs, and he gave me the okay to get something going, and which is what I did. I immediately started women's groups. I found that to be of the utmost necessity. Women have a lot of feelings about having been out in the street drinking, things that they've done they will not talk about in a mixed group. So this is the first thing I did, and it has worked.
There is a lot of getting stoned, there is a lot of drinking in the house. I think it's dishonest, and I don't know that I'm scared it could happen to me. There's many times I feel like I want to get high. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. I feel like I'm being an evil bitch. But then when I check out on my own morality and my own honesty and my own ethics, and that's who I go to bed with at night, and that's who I'm leaving here with, and that's who I'm going to be an old lady with, then I got a deal on it.
Sharon, why do you still have this need to get high? What is so terrible about reality, as it is now, that you can't stand it without getting high?
We talked about being women and being sober women and saving our lives and making something of our lives. And I have seen 2 different people, and I get scared when I look at you.
Once I let you know I was getting high, it hasn't been a lot of time. And I don't see,
You talk to me and you say things that mean something to me. And I saw you the other night in group with Judy, and I've seen you with other people, and you can make a difference. And I don't know when to trust you and when not to trust you. And I want to be able to trust you.
Loretta, any other time I would hate you right now. But I don't. And I love you for what you did. Maybe now I can find out what's wrong. Why I can't stop getting high. thankful because there are a couple of people that knew I was getting high. Nobody would say anything. I just want to say thanks. And I love you for what you did.
Thanks.
When I first came in the program, I didn't like women. I thought they were all the same, you know, they was always after something. And they helped me with my schooling, like I'm trying to get my GED, they helped me with that. They sit down and explain a lot of things to me that, you know, I shouldn't do. And what I should do, sometimes I get mad at them, you know, and throw my little temper tantrums, and they put up with it, you know. It's like me having a whole lot of mothers around since I'm the youngest one, you know. And they take a lot of time out with me, and I like it because nobody's never did that before.
We're here today to speak the truth about the woman alcoholic. Only when we know the truth about our lives can we propose any kind of change. And only when we inflict that consciousness on those who make policy can we accomplish change. We start by women helping women and go on from there to women working together with women to get the necessary local, state, and federal help. If they're lonely housewives drinking in the secrecy of their homes, they have to know that they're part of a nationwide problem. They have to have access to education, to job training, and to rehabilitation programs.
I wanted to see what the general feelings were, what kind of women were getting involved, what they were talking about doing. It's pretty exciting. I like the general look of the women. They look like the people who are working, who are doing things. It makes me feel a little bit better about myself, I guess. It does. If I step back and overall look at what I've put together in 6 months of being out of the halfway house, I feel pretty good about it. I've had to come up with some new ways of doing things. I had a lot of old alcoholic patterns. I'd come home and immediately want to have my drink and put on the tube and feel very sorry for myself and just sit, and that was it, and the apartment would be a wreck. When I come home now, the first thing I do is turn on the lights. I make sure to have my dinner in the kitchen. I eat a real dinner with vegetables and starch and meat and the whole thing, which is, again, that's very different for me. I was not grown up enough to do that before. I could do it while I was married. I did it for my husband, but it was for somebody else. Doing it for me now, it's taking good care of myself. It feels good.
I see life out there now like I really saw it when I was an adolescent, and then there were just things for me to pick and choose, and my life is full of choices, and I want that time now. From the day I walked into that hospital till this day, I haven't had a drink, and I haven't had a tranquilizer. My life is fantastic. I didn't have a life before, you know. I had no life. I thought, you know, I would go to these doctors and I would think they would give me the answer, which in their case was little pills, and I never thought that I had to have a part in my recovery. You know, it was going to come from out there, and they were going to give it to me, and then I would be well. And you know, I realize now I have a very great part in my own recovery. I feel terrific. Externally, my life is nothing like it was then. My kids are still with their father. I certainly am not wealthy. I was on welfare for 1.5 years while I got my head together. But I feel great.
This really isn't me. You know, it's not really me. It's what this thing does. This thing here. This makes you a little half superior and a little half shit, you know. I had it. I really had it all. I had it for a lot of time. 10 years, 15 years, a lot of time. I choose, I think, to be here, because I think I just deserve it, you know. Because if I want to change it, I can do that. I can do it tomorrow. I can do whatever I want tomorrow. I can be somebody else. You know, I can just not drink, and I can be anybody. But I miss, I'll tell you something very, very, very truth. I miss so much of what used to be. The home, you know, the friends, whatever they were. This doesn't replace it. The drink here, the water there, it just doesn't make it really sound like it should be sensible. Yeah, I miss. Yeah, damn it, I miss.